Hi everyone, this is my reflective analysis for Foundations 2. So in the beginning of the semester, my professor asked this question, that how will you contribute to an educational community that embodies your vision of education and role in society? Without any hesitation, I told that my vision of teaching and learning career is to become a highly effective teacher who promotes inclusivity and inspires students to achieve their goals. And it is really important too. We need to include students regardless of their race, sex, disability, religion, or anything else. We need to be that teacher who treats everyone in the same way. We should treat everyone with equal rights. In addition to that, I was someone who just thought about students' achievement in academics, but I was wrong. It's about how I can make my students to achieve their goals in their future life. It's not just academics. It's about how to be a better person for the society. And this is where, in this semester, I learned the importance of universal design for learning and differentiated instructions. I understood that universal design learning is an approach to teaching aimed at meeting the needs of every student in a classroom, regardless of age, skills, or situation. It can be helpful for all kids, including kids with learning and attention issues. So as a future teacher, my goal is to keep in mind that no single method can reach all learners in diverse classroom. We need to be flexible and adjust our pedagogical materials to support and meet all the needs of our students. As my recent experience as an educational assistant, I got opportunities to use assistive technologies such as speech-to-text software and interactive whiteboard to enable students who have special education needs to access the curriculum needs. I understood that trying different strategies like this would enhance students' learning. And I saw how these special needs students showed great performance and understanding of the concepts that taught when introduced to these technologies. And it was our privilege to know about the deaf and hard hearing conferences, because as future teachers, we have to learn on how to include students who have difficulties in hearing. So we learned about how to accommodate students and how to include them in a classroom and how to build a space for them to be part of the classroom. In addition to that, we got opportunity to learn about the indigenous culture, indigenous education, and how to include indigenous students to our classrooms. As a future educator, I would make sure that all indigenous children in Canada get equal opportunities like other non-indigenous students and take the necessary action on this matter. In conclusion, this past history should be a lesson for all educators to have in their minds when they start their teaching career, to give equity and inclusive education to all children across Canada. In week 5, we talked about formative assessment, which included descriptive feedback and effective questioning. And I personally believe that formative assessment is one of the most effective instructional tools that positively influence student achievement. A teacher should give timely feedbacks for students to make them understand that if they're on the right track or correct their mistakes before they do their final submission. And I have seen during my last placement that how much a student is worried about their culminating task, where they're just worried about their marks. But as future teachers, we need to implement that, give the option for students to bring their work to the teachers, where we can formatively assess the students by giving instructions and by giving guidance on how they are doing in their work. Towards the end of the semester, we were asked to read 2 articles in week 7. I chose the article by Freire on the banking concept of education, which is a concept where teachers teach and students listen and don't question what they are being told. And I personally believe that this is what a traditional classroom was. And we need to change that to a modern classroom where students and teachers ask questions to each other, where they both are learning during that time. So it's not that students just memorize the concept they've been taught, but ask questions to teachers where they are clarifying their doubts on. So as a future teacher candidate, I personally believe that adding coding to the new curriculum is absolutely necessary for students to be a computational thinkers, where they learn how to solve problems. A teacher should always be a facilitator for students and encourage students to be more creative in doing things. The second article we asked to read was on the My Pedagogical Creed by Dewey. And this talks about how school is a place where you come to learn, have fun, explore, and build positive relationships. It could be a positive relationship between teachers, students, and other members of the school. It's not a place just you come there to sit and study, rather to build relationship would. And I absolutely agree with Dewey, because students would greatly benefit from building these relationships in school, where it would help them in their long term to be a successful person in their life. Towards the last question that I answered in my DLP was how I think differently from September 2021 to this moment about teaching and learning. I used to think that teacher-centered learning, that always helps students to be successful, but I was absolutely wrong. It should be a student-centered learning where students and teachers have positive relationship between them, where they ask questions to each other and learn new information. In addition to that, I understood that individual learning differs and each learns at different pace. Identifying the slow learners and giving personal attention to those students would definitely help them to achieve their goal. Finally, making my students to be a great problem solvers and develop strong critical thinking and interpersonal communication skills would definitely help them to be successful in this complex world. Finally, a quick quote to think and act on by Malala Yousafzai, which is, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." Let's keep this quote in our mind and be an effective teacher who can build the positive relationship between students